Today we have a special guest who offers us a unique perspective on one of the most prominent figures in American politics. Joining us is Maya Harris, a distinguished attorney, policy advocate, and the sister of Vice President Kamala Harris, who is now the Democratic candidate for president. Maya is here to share personal insights into Kamala's character, her journey to becoming one of the nation's top leaders, and why she believes Kamala is the right choice to lead our country forward. We'll also be discussing the importance of early voting, voter turnout, and the critical stakes of this election. Maya, thank you so much for being here today. I am so excited to dive into this conversation with you.
Thank you, Dr. Adrienne, and I am very happy to be with you.
Thank you. Now, I don't have a biological sister, but know the value of sisterhood and have the privilege to be a life member of a 360,000 member sisterhood founded in Howard University campus on January 15, 1908, for the purpose of being those who provide service to all mankind. So, as Kamala's biological sister, you've seen her growth both personally and professionally. So what qualities in her character do you think make her uniquely suited to lead as president?
Well, I think I would start with the fact that she is strong and she's fearless and she's tough and she's courageous. She's truly a force. And the reason I start with that is because we need someone who is determined and focused and driven to be president of the United States and move this country forward, not backward. And Kamala has been that way ever since we were kids. You know, she has always stood up to bullies. She's never backed down from a challenge, ever. And she's always stood up for vulnerable people. You know, some people may have seen, if they watched the convention, Kamala's friend Stacy. Well, Stacy is Kamala's best friend from kindergarten, who's still one of her very best friends. Well, when they were in kindergarten and they were playing on the playground, there was a kid who was picking on Stacy. And Kamala absolutely would not have it, having somebody pick on her best friend. And when she went to stand up for Kamala, stand up against this bully, he picked up a rock or a stick or something and hit her with it in the eye. She still has a scar from that time. But that's who she is. You know, she's always been that way. Even when she was in high school, her good friend Wanda was being molested by her stepfather. And when Wanda told Kamala that was happening to her, Kamala said, "Oh, no, you need to come stay with us until we figure out what's going on." And she went to my mom and said, "Mom, you know, Mommy can want to come and stay with us." And of course, my mom said yes. But that's the type of person that she is, that if you're in trouble or if you need, you know, a helping hand, if you need support, if you need protection, that is who she is. And that's who she's always been. And, you know, you could see it throughout her career. She's always really tried to lift people up instead of, you know, Donald Trump on the other side. He's always trying to beat people down. That is the opposite of who Kamala is. Kamala is really about compassion, empathy, protection, and moving people forward in their lives.
You know, what's so interesting, Maya, is that a lot of times I get in these conversations with people about, you know, just various things. It doesn't necessarily have to be about politics. It can be about workplace bullying. And a lot of times people want to shy away from things that don't have a direct impact on their life. And so I've always been somebody that felt like if it's impacting one person, it has the potential to impact everybody. And it just seems like your sister's leadership style is that she serves everybody. It doesn't make a difference, your color, your gender, you know, where you come from, your economics. She's for all people. So can you talk a little bit about her character and what you have seen her demonstrate throughout your life?
I will. And, you know, there's a couple things that I thought of when you were talking about that. One is, you know, you never know what's going on in someone's life. So you may think that something's only happening to one person, but it really could be happening to other people, and you just don't know. And the thing about Kamala, and that she's always been, is about seeing people and really seeing them, you know, and making sure that we are doing things to lift everyone up because you don't know what people's different circumstances are. And she often says that no one should be left alone. You know, people who are struggling and suffering, no one should be left alone. So that's one thing about her. But the other thing about her character is that we were raised in a middle-class community. We knew our neighbors. We went to, rode the bus to public school with all the kids on the block and down the street and around the corner. And Kamala's never forgotten where we've come from. But part of that, which is why she fights so hard for the middle class, by the way. But part of what we learned when we were growing up in the community that we grew up in is how we all have so much more in common than what separates us, and that we really all want the same things for our families and our children and our communities. And that's something Kamala really believes to her core, that we all just want to be free, to fulfill our God-given potential. And she believes that, which is why she really does look out for everyone, because she believes everyone does have potential and people are working so hard, but we shouldn't make it so hard on them to actually be able to get ahead. But that comes from a core belief she has that we all have a God-given potential to realize.
So why do you believe Kamala Harris is the best candidate for the presidency in this critical moment in American history? Because it's critical.
Well, it is. I mean, the stakes of this election could not be higher, Dr. A. Let me tell you, they could not be higher. We are literally in a fight for the country's future. Yes. And we right now in front of us have two fundamentally different views of that future. And what Kamala is offering is a new generation of leadership, a new way forward. So what I was saying that, that we have two fundamentally different views, of the country and for the future of the country, and that Kamala is offering a new generation of leadership and a new way forward for the American people. And to your earlier point, Dr. A, it's a vision in which everyone can see themselves and prosper. And so that's why she's made her number one economic priority to bring down costs for everyone, from groceries to housing to prescription drugs. During these last 4 years, they capped the price of insulin at $35. For seniors, she wants to extend that to everyone. She wants to invest in small businesses. She wants to take the tax credit, for example, that you currently get for starting a small business from $5,000 to $50,000, because she knows that you need more than $5,000 to get a business up off the ground and get it going. And so those are the kinds of things that she's looking at. She wants to make housing more affordable. She wants to increase home ownership by helping first-time buyers to get $25,000 in down payment assistance. And so you see her agenda is focused on, the middle class, bringing the middle class up and stronger, having the middle class taxes cut, extending the child tax credit. And so she's looking at all these ways to support people who are out there working so hard, bring down their costs, give them access to more resources to just help, lift their lives and go into a better future. And on the other side, you've got Donald Trump, who's just looking out for himself. He divides people, he degrades people, and most importantly, and this is something your listeners, I really want them to pay attention to, which is that Donald Trump wants to enact a very extreme, very dangerous agenda. It's called Project 2025. Yes. They need to go online and Google it. You will see the things he wants to do. It's going to increase costs on families by $4,000 a year. He wants to cut Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid and end the Affordable Care Act, which is providing health care to millions of, Black Americans. He wants to abolish the Department of Education and eliminate federal funding for public schools. I mean, this is dangerous and extreme stuff that he's talking about. And he wants the power to do whatever he wants to whoever he wants. And so we need to turn the page on Donald Trump, really, and work with Kamala to realize the promise of America, because she really wants it for everyone who's willing to work hard and achieve the American dream. That's what she wants for you.
And listen, as someone who has her Morehouse graduate educated son living in her basement, and the potential of the Miles College ones coming back to join him. I am all for home ownership for these young people. We need to help them get into some homes.
Listen, let me tell you. But the other thing, I'm so glad you mentioned that because, we all know Kamala's a Howard graduate, HBCU graduate. Over these past 4 years, she has worked with President Biden to invest a record $16 billion with a B dollars to support HBCUs and increase Pell Grants for kids, for Black, undergrad students. Yeah. That affected 75% of Black students at HBCUs in terms of improving their ability to get through college without carrying the kind of debt that, so many of us in the past have had to carry. They forgave over $167 billion, again with a B, in student loan debt, and she wants to go even further. I bring that up because you're right. We want home ownership for our kids, right? We want to have something. We want home ownership ourselves, and then the ability to build wealth so we have something to pass on to our children, right? And we want them to have educational opportunity, and we want them to come out on the other side with the ability to get a good paying job or to start and grow a business, whatever path they want to be on. We want them to be able to achieve those things. And that's why Kamala has plans, actual plans, real plans to make those things possible for all of us. And again, I couldn't contrast that more with, Donald Trump is just focused on, the billionaires and the big wealthy corporations and giving them tax breaks as opposed to giving us the tax cuts in the middle class community and having people have an opportunity to get ahead.
Well, I like to tell people that we can have these conversations, but I want to have actual conversations. And so I am an actual person who benefited from the student loan forgiveness because $284,738.53 of debt eliminated. Because I worked in the school system for 27 years, I could not afford to make the student loan payments because I had 4 children and my ex-husband made 5. And so I'm taking care of the whole household and working 3 jobs. I couldn't afford the payments. And so when the opportunity came for that application for student loan forgiveness, I applied. And so thanks to Bidenomics, my student loan debt was eliminated. And so, people, So I tell you.
No, you go ahead, Dr. A. Keep going.
I just could not be more excited about what it is that she wants to do because she understands what is needed to help everybody get to, in air quotes, the American dream. She understands that this can be realized if we all work together. And I'm so excited about the fact that because of her humanness and her spirit, reaching across the lines, understanding I can't do this by myself. I need some help. And I'm sure that has something to do with who she's always been as a person. But I wanted to ask you a question because this position, of course, and she always looked beautiful and amazing and peaceful. I think it's that Libra in her. But how does she handle adversity behind the scenes? Because I know she faces a ton of it.
Part of it is that she's a resilient person. So let me start there. She is a resilient, tough, very, strong person. But, we also were, raised in a community and by people who instilled in us the values of faith and community.
Yes, absolutely.
And so, when you have your faith, what that does to keep you focused and keep you grounded and keep you covered, right, with your faith. But also in community, which is, again, this idea that you are surrounded by people who support you, who want you to achieve whatever it is you're setting out to do, and that you are not alone. And Kamala knows that because going full circle to something you mentioned at the top about being in the sisterhood, the Howard, a.k.a. sisterhood, is that Kamala is surrounded by folks like me, her blood family. As you know, we talk about your blood family, but and your family by blood. But Kamala also talks about and has a huge family by love. That's her
right.
sisterhood. That is all the people who we grow up with in our community. That is the millions of people across the country who are joining up with her in this quest to become president of the United States, because they can see her and they believe in her and they know who she is. And so, yes, you get strength from many different places, your faith, your family, your community. And she is certainly getting strength from the American people who really are ready to turn the page on Donald Trump and really do want to be on a path to a new way forward and really to a positive future. People are tired of the negativity and the division. People want something that's more hopeful and more positive and not just feeling that way, but being that way, and she's offering that to the American people with all the plans that she has, but really also going back to your point by her character and the way that she leads, where she brings everyone along.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to speak with me today. And my last ask of you, your final thought is, why is it so important for people to vote early in this election and talk about the difference that it can make? I've already voted.
Good. I early voted too, and I can't tell you what that felt like to mark that bubble for my sister for president of the United States. But let me say one thing about Georgia. You all are already well on the path in terms of early voting. You have been breaking records in Georgia for early voting in the first week. It just started last week. Over 1.4 million people have voted. But we need to keep going because this election is going to be close. We need to have people overwhelmingly voting so that we leave no question about where the people stand. And so I want to say, don't forget that Election Day, November 5th, is the last day to vote. Early voting is happening now. Get out there and vote now. Don't forget to bring your photo ID when it's time to go vote. And if you need more information, go to iwillvote.com so that you can get the information you need about where to go vote. Get that ballot in early, because you never know what's going to happen on Election Day. You might get a flat tire. You might get called into work. You never know what's going to happen on Election Day. Don't wait till the last minute. Get it in now. And then if you get it in now and you have some extra time, come join us at go.kamalaharris.com, because we have so many people signing up to help us go get other people's vote out. So if you vote early, that's the safest thing to do. And then you can come join us and help us talk to neighbors and family members and people at church and go to all the other places where we need to be, making sure people know the stakes of the election and that they don't waste their vote, because their vote is their power.
Well, I appreciate you more than you know. This has been a conversation with Maya Harris, who is the biological sister of Vice President Kamala Harris, our Democratic candidate for president, sharing her views on her character and why she is the best leader to lead our country forward. Maya, thank you so much. I feel so honored and privileged. I feel like I have touched a piece of my sorrow, Vice President Kamala Harris. So thank you for taking the time to speak with me.
Thank you, Dr. Adrienne. It was my pleasure and my honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Okay, take care.